Thanks for joining us. You know, this is the first of a series, and I'm going to say it's an exciting day. Yesterday, the Book of Truth was published, and I'm feeling all of the energy around that. So I'm a little high from the energy today, and who knows how that'll affect the channeling. But in these first series, I think it's sort of helpful for people who don't know my work to have a sense of who I am and how I work. So I'll do a very brief introduction. I'm clairaudient. I hear. When I hear, I whisper the words as they come and repeat them. It takes a little getting used to, but most people catch on fairly quickly. I don't plan these things, so I know the title of the series, and pretty much it ends at that. I was doing a workshop this last weekend in Atlanta, and the guides took the opportunity to lecture on manifestation for, 2 full days. So I'm assuming they're priming me and their students for what's to come next. Usually when a book is out, they start very quickly preparing for the next book. So my sense is that some of the teachings that we may be getting in here are really in preparation for what's to come. If you're new to my work, the guides seem pretty good at supporting everybody and entering into the conversation or the instruction at whatever level you're able to be met at. They've said it's a one-room schoolhouse that they teach in, and they're teaching everybody at the level that they can be met. So, if you're new, really welcome. I'm thrilled you're here. And to the folks who've been here, this has been a laboratory for all of us, and for me included. So we're all learning together. So thank you for your continued participation. I like to start off with a prayer of protection. I use the word God. You can let that mean whatever it means for you. I just find that it sets a nice collective field to work in, and then we'll see how the reception is today. Okay, so let's all sit back together, please. Very, very softly, please, if you would. Repeat after me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the Spirit of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. So be it. Silently set the intention that you're only open and receptive to those energies and that information, which are for your highest good. In the perfect amounts needed for your healing. And evolution at this time. Word, I am, word, language. Now we thank you each for the encouragement you bring to us, you bring to us, what we bring to you, and what we bring to you, which is our awareness, of your requirements, for evolution. Each one of you who comes to participate with us, has decided on her own, that she may know more, be more, claim the truth of who she is, claim the truth of who she is outside of the constructs that she has agreed to, as the small self she has known, as the small self she has known. So as we say thank you for your willingness to learn, we call you forward. claimed, to what may now be claimed and comprehended, and be comprehended as the true self, as the true self who has decided that she has the right to be, that she has the right to be. Each one of you decides, you see, each one of you decides, you see, that you are in reality, the true self, the true self. That's claimed, and the moment that is claimed in certitude, in truth, in awareness of it, and in an awareness of it, you claim a world immediately. Now, how does one realize herself? Now, how does one realize herself in fullness? How does one bypass? How does one bypass the constructs that the small self has used, that the small self has used to learn through? How does she realize herself? How does she realize herself in the face of great change, or uncertainty, or calamity? In some ways we will instruct you in this. In some ways we will instruct you in this, so that you may understand the true self that you are, that the true self that you are is not bound by these things, and her resurrection. And her resurrection happens in spite of, and not because of, the things of this world, Now, when you decide that the divine is what you are, that the divine as what you are has true purview, which means she has the right, to call into manifestation, whatever she requires to be realized as, the world that she lives in. The world that she lives in begins to move to an awareness of what this claim is, and requirements for change. And the requirements for change are brought to each of you, as you can be aware of them, and agree to them. By agreement, we mean be in coherence with every opportunity you see to develop will be brought to you, as well as the means, and the ways with which to grow, so you need not fear. So you need not fear that you will be left behind, that others will march ahead of you in their awareness. What you must understand is that the divine as what you are, that the divine as what you are will claim the world for you, Now, when you realize the self, at the magnitude we suggest, may be realized, something happens immediately. Immediately in the causal field, in the orb you know yourselves through, and the ramifications of this realization, I know who I am, I know who I am, I know what I am, I know what I am, I know how I serve, I know how I serve, as claimed by the divine self, as claimed by the self, requires a restructuring of the being that you are, to establish this in the field, and then in the form, that you have obligated yourselves to, Now, the choice to be informed. Now, the choice to be informed was taken for you in your agreement to incarnate in the decision to be, and the decision to be as the what that you are, the manifestation of the divine in form. The manifestation of the divine in form has now been claimed for you in this instruction. So you may go into it with it, so that you may go into coherence with an agreement to it, yes, by the moment of vibration, but the moment the vibration is in echo in the field itself, and the field itself says yes I am, and the body itself says yes I am, the removal of fear commences immediately. The lower octave does not exist does not exist at the level of the divine self, at the level of the divine self, so the creations you have made. So the creations you have made and obligated yourselves to in some ways, and obligated yourselves to in some ways, will be known by you, and you'll be given an opportunity, and you will be given an opportunity to say thank you, no, to say thank you, no, 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 I am aware of what I am. I am aware of what I am, and I no longer require myself, and I no longer require myself to claim what I have known myself through, to claim what I have known myself through, that operates in lower fields, that operates in lower fields. This is an instantaneous choice. This is an instantaneous choice. We have to reinforce this for Paul, and we have to reinforce this for Paul, who is struggling with the teaching, who is struggling with the teaching, the claim of independence, the claim of independence that we have offered you, that we have offered you and offered you all, and offered you all. I am free, I am free, I am free. I am free, I am free, I am free, claims you in freedom, claims you in freedom as the one authority, as the one in authority, as the true self who can bypass the structures, that were inherited by you, in limitation, The agreement was made. The agreement was made by the claim I am free, by the claim I am free, but the product of that claim, is in fact the divine self, is in fact the divine self in its manifestation, announcing itself in fullness, Now, when something is instantaneous, it is done in the moment you stand. It is done in the moment you stand, not someday, far away, not someday, far away. In the moment you stand, but the field you hold, but the field that you hold, the true self, if you wish, the true self, if you wish, embodying as you, does not operate through time, does not operate through linear time, the way we describe time, in the way that you would ascribe time, so the moment you stand as the what that you are, the manifestation who says yes, the manifestation who says yes, you bypass the ideologies, the claims made for or against you, the claims made for or against you about what you're allowed to be, about what you are allowed to be, and the divine as the what, and the divine as the what, the enunciated self, the true self, the claimed self says yes, I am, says yes, I am, and the life you live, must begin to shift, in ways you understand, in ways you will understand, and claim for yourselves, Now, the difference in claiming as a small self. Now, the difference in claiming as a small self and as the true self, is the difference between yelling from the mountain, is the difference between yelling from the top down, between yelling from the top of a mountain and hoping you're heard, and lifting yourself to where you become the voice, that echoes through the mountains, by nature of your being, You become the sound, or the expression, of the divine self, and you're simply being, calls the echo of it into manifestation. You are used to begging, and to pleading, and to affirming in some ways, as a small self, who hopes to get her way, or plans to get his way, or suspects he or she might, That is very, very different. The operation of the divine self than the operation of the divine self as expressed by you. Now, when we say expressed by you, we mean becomes as you. We mean becomes as you, the divine as the you, that isn't always the expression of divine divine, the expression of the divine that is claiming a world, that is claiming a world into manifestation through a very encounter with it, through her very encounter with it. The divine sees the divine you see, the divine sees the divine you see, in all he encounters, in all he encounters. His mirror is the divine, his mirror is the divine. So God sees God, so God sees God, truth sees truth, truth sees truth, love sees love, love sees loves, and claims each thing she sees, and claims each thing she sees in the purview of the divine self, in the purview of the divine self. The ramifications of this, if you wish to know, is that you become the Savior, is that you become the Savior of the world, simply by the nature of being, simply by the nature of your being. Now, Paul is alarmed. Why did he use that word? Why did he use that word? That is a frightening word to some of us. That is a frightening word to some of us. Well, you have to understand, friends. Well, you have to understand, friends, that you are not the only Savior, that you are not the only Savior, and the self is never the Savior, and the small self is never the Savior. How could he be? How could he be? How could she be? How could she be? But if you can imagine that the alignment that we speak to, the agreement to be embodied as the true self, of the divine self, or the divine self, claims every aspect of you, and all that you encounter, and all that you encounter. In the higher octave you exist in the higher octave you exist in. Now, when we teach you this, we have an understanding. That some of you, including Paul, wish to turn away. I can't see this as being so. Because the small self can't see it. Because the small self can see it does not mean it is not so. Does not mean it is not so. In fact, it is already so. In fact, it is already so. And this is the difficulty of the teaching, most of you. And this is the difficulty of the teaching for most of you. The divine self as who you are. The divine self as who you are, and what you are, is already so. Is already so. But you have been in collusion with fear. But you have been in collusion with fear and lower nature, and collective agreements, that have in some ways obscured your reflection as the true self, and you witness instead a distortion, when you witness yourself in the mirror, when you witness yourself in the mirror, when you witness your fellows, or when you witness your fellows, or your world in reflection, you see, and the reflection you see in distortion claims you in awareness to it, so you are in like accord, with all things that operate in that dimensionality, in that dimensional reality, as the true self reveals itself. As the true self reveals itself and recreates itself, it recreates itself in all manifestation, If you understand that the life that you are, at this octave, shines upon all things that it witnesses, it doesn't effort itself, being that she is, the being that she is what claims the world, by nature of being, and the agreement to be as the true self, and the agreement to be as the true self, is the agreement to align to the truth of what you are, at the cost of what you're not, at the cost of what you are not. Now, when we teach you this, we actually engage you. In multiple levels of awareness. We are speaking to the mind, yes. We are speaking to the mind, yes. The personality, yes. And the personality, yes. We are supporting the true self in her agreement, to move beyond the structures, of personality and fear, that she's been held to abeyance to, that she has been held in abeyance to the collective agreements through the collective agreements that you have chosen, individually and collectively, individually and collectively. If you imagine that you are being released, that you are being released from a prison you didn't even know you were in, you didn't even know you were in, you will understand the vastness of the teaching. You will understand the vastness of this teaching. Now we will teach you manifestation. Now we will teach you manifestation in sequential ways. In sequential ways, there are things that you may claim. There are things that you may claim in the world that you require to grow through, that you require to grow through. But the highest manifestation that you can occur and agree to is the manifestation that is born in knowing who you are, that is born in knowing who you are, because the knowing of who you are, I am the divine self. I am the divine self claims uncertainty. She does not do this. She does not do this as a personality masquerading as the divine self. Masquerading as the divine self, that would be heretical. But as the true self emerges, and is known and is realized, her announcement in this world calls the world to her in her knowing. Now the requirements you think you have. Now, the requirements you think you have for the lives you should be living, for the lives you think you should be living, will be addressed as well. Because we comprehend their need. But we have no intention. Of absolving you of the responsibility of the true self's requirements, for manifestation. You think you need this or that. You think you need this or that to live the life you think you should have, to live the life you think you should have. Whereas if you realize and know who you are, you know what you require. You know what you require, and by nature of being, the manifestation of it occurs through being, without effort, and without agony, without begging or fearing, You understand the conceit that you can claim, what you have agreed to, I chose to live in that house. I have a right to it. I paid the mortgage. I chose this job. I have a right to my desk. I have a right to my desk. I'm in agreement to what I claim. I am in agreement to what I've claimed. Much of the claims you've made in the physical realm, required you to go into a guarantee, that you could be receiving what you wanted, that you could be in receipt of what you wanted. You had no expectation. Of going to somebody else's job, and sitting at their desk and expecting to be paid. Would make no sense. It is not your job. The agreement to be in the job you have, is in coherence and vibrational accord in the form you've taken, as you align to the true self. As you align to the true self and the quality of your being, and the quality of your being begins to reflect this, the quality of your being. The quality of your being will call into manifestation, things that operate in higher accord. You must understand, friends, that everything that exists in multiple octaves, The low C can be played as a high C, the same note may be be known. The same note may be known in multiple octaves, but the limitation you have thus far, is that the scale that you see is that the scale that you see and the notes that you play, and the notes that you play are the only notes that you think are there, are the only notes that you think are there. There is a low C, there is a low C and a high C, and a high C that exists beyond your comprehension, that exists beyond your comprehension, because the scale is in fact infinite, because the scale is in fact infinite. As you align to the higher vibration, as you align to the higher vibration, what you must claim, what you must claim must correlate to the octave you're expressing, must correlate to the octave you are expressing in. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? So that everything that exists, in multiple ways, may be known in multiple ways, may be known in multiple ways, comprehended and reclaimed in a higher way, in a higher way. Now, when we teach you what you need, you're going to disagree with us. You are going to disagree with us. You think you need the jobs you have. You think you need the jobs you've had, the relationships you chose, and you may need them, and you may welcome them, and and they may be there to support you in many ways when you move beyond obligation. But when you move beyond obligation, what you chose is agreement, and what you chose at a certain level of agreement because you thought you needed it once upon a time, because you thought you needed it once upon a time, you paved the way. You paved the way for, again, what may be claimed, what may be claimed in the higher octave, each one of you here. Each one of you here is the product of your choices, and in fact, your choices have served you very well, whether or not you agree to it, You're having the experiences here. You are having the experiences here in form that you've chosen, in form that you have chosen to learn through, and we applaud you each. And we applaud you each because the plane you have chosen to express them, because the plane you have chosen to express on is not an easy one, The vibrations are dense. You learn through difficulty. Or what you would call difficulty. You agree to it, and you agree to it because you are requiring yourselves, to move beyond the creations the small self has known, the obligation you have to being in truth, which is the teaching of the year, to be in truth realizes you without the obligations that you have thought you had, I could never leave this man, I could never leave the church, I could never leave the church, I could never go on that trip, I could never be in love, I could never be in love. Whatever you thought you were, that was created an obligation, to a kind of history, born in collective agreement, or fear-based instruction, will be met, and you will be moved beyond them, the relationship you've chosen. If the relationship you've chosen in the lower octave may exist as well, in the higher one, it will be there for you. If the job that you've been doing for 25 years, supports you in realization, may continue with it, you may continue with it, but the true self that you are, will make sure that what you require to learn through will be brought to you there, and if not there, by some other means. The challenges that some of you will face in this class, that you want what you think you want, is that you want what you think you want, and you think that what you want, and you think that what you want is what you were supposed to have, in almost in all cases, that is not so. You assume what you want, are told what to want, agree to the collective that says agree to the collective that says you should want this, you should want this. You think that if you don't, and you think that if you don't, there is something terribly wrong with you. There is something terribly wrong with you, as we've instructed through Paul. As we have instructed through Paul, 90% of what you want, 90% of what you want has no bearing in truth, has no bearing in truth, but it's what you assume you need, but it's what you assume you need or should have because you've been in agreement to it, because you have been in agreement to it. The true self knows. The true self knows what she requires, and as she is amplified, and as she is amplified and expresses as herself, the consummate need will always be met, underline always in her vibratory field, as her expression says yes, I know who I am. I know who I am. Now understand, friends, that you are being confronted every time you leave your home, by those who would tell you you are not who you say you are, that you are not who you say you are. You are not a divine self. You are not a divine self. You are the one that's so mean to me yesterday. You are the one that was so mean to me yesterday. You can never be a divine self. You could never be a divine self. Look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. A divine self looks like something else. A divine self looks like something else. I can never be this. I could never be this. You agree to that. You agree to that you shut yourself back. And then you shut yourself back in the frame of the small self, within the frame of the small self, and wonder why you don't know what you want, and wonder why you don't get what you want. Here we go, friends. We'll say this to each of you, and we will say this to each of you, and with each of you, should we have us, and with each of you, if you wish to repeat after us. On this night, I claim that the realization of who and what I am, that the realization of the who and the what that I am, and the what that I am is meeting me where I stand, is meeting me where I stand in this agreement. And in this agreement, to be met by truth, I give permission to all systems. I give permission to all systems of agreement from all time to manifest in the highest way towards the full realization, of the who and the what, of the who and the what I am in truth. I am in truth. I know who I am in truth. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am free. 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 Be received by us. Be received by us, all of you, if you wish. All of you, if you wish, we'll meet you where you stand. We will meet you where you stand, where you sit, where you lay, where you sit, where you lay, and we will say these words to you, and we will say these words to you. You are free. 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 Now the announcement you just made. Now the announcement you just made in agreement to this, will catalyze your field, and move you forward, and the bell has been rung, and the bell has been rung, and the echo of the bell, is resounding in your energetic field, in your energetic field, and will continue to in completion of its mission to know and be the what, the true self that is in manifestation, as you. We say thank you each. We say thank you each. We'll return with questions on teaching. We will return with questions on the teaching. We expect to have many. Period. All right, so that's the teaching. I'm going to drink something, and then we will come back and we'll go to questions, okay? Oh, yeah. So we'll see who's here tonight. Okay. Kevin, good evening. Can you hear me? Hello? Kevin? Kevin, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, I'm hearing something. So Kevin, is that you? Okay, I'm going to try somebody else. Come back to you later. Hopefully this isn't a problem at my end. Great. Okay, I'm going to say hello now to Hawk. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you?
Very good. Thank you for what you're doing.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Do you have a question?
I do. It seems like in the last 3 or 4 weeks, as I've been waiting for the new material to come out and reworking your older material, that there have been many difficulties that have come up. I'm a person that lives a life of ease, and it is, my question is, it seems as though the way things are occurring right now in my individual life, that there is some sort of out of time, out of sync, like even joining tonight. Normally I'm on 30 minutes before. I couldn't get on till 10 minutes. I had to go outside and have a discussion with the guides and say, you've got to make this happen. And I came back in and there was Jason. So they did. What's this about?
Well, I'm going to go into this for you. I would like to try to keep it on the lecture that you just all received. But I'm going to go to you first. They're saying we'd like you to know one thing you're expecting. They're saying you're expecting things to be as you think they should be, and they are not because they cannot be. And they are not because they cannot be, and the disassociation you're experiencing, and the disassociation you're experiencing out of time, as you describe it, out of time, as you describe it, as a transition from one octave to the next, from one octave to the next. You adhere to the old. You operate as if the old should support you. You operate as if the old should support you. You say you want development. You say you want development. You don't want to see change, but you don't want to see change. So the gift of the times to stand in. So the gift of the times you stand in always is change. In always is change in every aspect of what you see. In every aspect of what you see or have agreed to Be prepared for the unknown. Be prepared for the unknown. Don't count upon the known. Don't count upon the known to show you who you are, to show you who you are. The uncertainty you experienced this evening, was a blessing for you, You don't have to be in control. You don't have to be in control, nor you have to attend our classes early, nor do you have to attend our classes early to hear the instruction, period. That's them. They're saying period.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just asked if I should too, and they just said no. That was what they had to say. So I'm going to see if we got Kevin back, because we didn't get him before. Kevin, are you there now? Okay, Kevin, sorry, we tried. We'll continue. I'm going to say good evening now to I had chosen somebody and she's not showing up on the screen. So I'm going to say hello now to Janet. Good evening.
Good evening, Paul.
Hi.
Hi, I noticed during the lecture that the guides mentioned, if I heard this correctly, that the true self needs their support to come into alignment within us. I think that's how it went. And so my question is, I have this idea about the true self being all powerful, and also I'm curious, I know we need to invite that, but I'm curious about their support of her and who they are in relation to her, that they are supporting her.
The realization of the true self happens through the individual, happens through the individual, the conscious may hold, and the consciousness that may hold. What we offer you, in fact, what we offer you, in fact, is a higher mirror, because we know who you are, because we know who you are outside of the claims of the small self. Outside of the claims of the small self, we may lift you to the place. We may lift you to the place of being witnessed and realized as the what that you are, as the what that you are. It exists without us. It exists without us. Permission is not granted by us. Permission is not granted by us, but by you. But by you, all we do is lift you. All we do is lift you in support of the song that's already singing, to the song that is already singing, so that you may learn the words, so that you may learn the words. Now, we are not doing this for you. Now, we are not doing this for you as much as we are doing with you, as much as we are doing it with you. And you must understand this. And you must understand this. We operate in co-resonance with you. We operate in co-resonance with you. So the amplification of vibration. So the amplification of vibration that we bring through is there to support you in hearing, is there to support you in hearing, or oscillating or co-oscillating, so that you may know your own, so that you may know your own. We understand ourselves. We understand ourselves as not separate from our source, as not separate from our source. Of course, we have to comprehend you. So of course, we have to comprehend you at that same agreement, the idea of co-resonance agreement. The idea of co-resonance and agreement is what is needed here, We are not doing anything to you. We are not doing anything to you, or even so much for you, or even so much for you, as we are supporting you each, in the claims that you may make, for your true selves, to emerge in fullness, period. Okay, so I hope that made some sense.
It did. I think my mistake was in not considering myself the true self. I think that's where I screwed up.
Yeah, so, well, I wouldn't say it's a screw up, but that's who, and this is for anybody who's new to this. These claims that they make, I know who I am, I know what I am, I know how I serve, that's not a claim that's made at a personality level. It's the claim they say of the true self, because those things are always true at that level. So when the guides work in workshops, and sometimes they do a version of it here, where they stand before people and they see them and they witness them, they're seeing them as they are in truth, beyond the masks, the frames, or the claims made. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because that's who you really are. And that allows this to come forth, I feel. Or let me get it from that. It states their intention. Well, I'm going to get it from them. They're saying it states their intention for themselves. And we claim to each of them. When we claim to each of them, you are free, 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 you are free. We are stating what's already true. We are stating what is already true, and they may echo and respond. And they may echo and respond in co-resonance with this. I am free, 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 I am free. And that is not claimed by the small self. And that is not claimed by the small self, or by the aspect of the self, but by the aspect of the self that can only be free, period. They're saying period. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I continue now. Here's a new name. I'm going to say good evening to Dal. Are you there?
I am here.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
I can, yes. You have a question?
Thank you. Well, mostly I wanted to say how delightful it is to be with you. I read all of your books last summer when I was in Maui. It was so fun to walk into Christine and Ken's house and see them on their table. Mm-hmm. And so this is the first time that I've been with you. And I want to thank you, and I want to welcome the support. And if there's anything that the guides would have to say to me about a big possibility of an art project that I feel is very involved with the whole purpose of my life and why I've had to experience.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tune into you briefly, but the guides have asked that we hold the questions to the teachings that we've received tonight if we can. So I'm going to go to you and see if there's anything to be said about this quickly. Yes, we'd like to. They're saying, yes, we would like to, and tell her that she's loved. They're saying, and tell her that she's loved in the art that she makes. And the art that she makes, regardless of what she thinks of the time, regardless of what she thinks of it at the time, is an expression of her true nature, is an expression of her true nature, and then must be loved as well, and then must be loved as well. This is true for all of you. This is true for all of you. And you judge your products, and you judge your products. You judge your work. You judge your work. You judge your endeavors so harshly. You judge your endeavors so harshly without understanding the expressions that you make, that the expressions that you make are the expressions you require to make, are the expressions that you require to make wherever you stand in your evolution, So we say yes to your projects. So we say yes to your projects, but more than that, we say yes to the making of them. We say yes to the making of them, because that is the gift of being an expression, because that is the gift of being an expression. The product is separate, and the product is separate, period. And they're saying period. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue now. All right, now we'll say hello to Joseph. Good evening. Joseph, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Barely. You're going to have to speak into the mic.
Okay. I have a question about desire.
Desire, yes. What's the question?
If I have a desire and it's based on that small.
You're breaking up.
If I have a desire and it's coming from my dissatisfaction, is that coming from my small self? And can I change that to have it come from my true self by saying I just desire a new experience?
They're saying yes and no, depending on where you stand. They're saying it depends on where you stand. So I'm going to go into this because it's an interesting question. Desire in some ways may be the true self calling you forward, may be the true self calling you forward, and dissatisfaction may mean growth, and dissatisfaction may mean growth. I have outgrown the relationship. I have outgrown the relationship, or the home, or the home, or the relationship, or the relationship. You need a higher way to express. You need a higher way to express, and the circumstances support you, and the circumstances support you in moving beyond them, and moving beyond them, and discomfort may be a way, and discomfort may be a way that you opportunize a choice, and not be the small self. So this need not be the small self. So do not condemn those choices. So do not condemn those choices. We were teaching something different. What we were teaching was something different in the higher alignment. In the higher alignment, the claim is made by the true self. The claim is made by the true self, and born into form, and born into form. Without those agreements made in lower nature. This is simply an understanding. This is simply an understanding that your requirements for being, that your requirements for being, yes, will be met through being. That doesn't mean you sit on your fanny. That doesn't mean you sit on your fanny and you don't go to the job you have, and that you don't go to the job that you have. It does mean you realize. It does mean you realize the who and the what you are, that the who and the what that you are in tandem, the divine as you in field and form can claim by being what she requires. The small self will learn. The small self will learn in whatever way she must. And we never condemn learning, and we never condemn learning, no matter what form it has taken, So discomfort or disease may be your call forward, because you've outgrown the form, that you have claimed in a lower vibration, are claiming the potential of something higher, period. And they're saying period. Okay, so thank you, Joseph. We're going to continue now. All right. Here's another new name. I'm going to say good evening now to Lilu. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, but there's a lot of noise with you. So try.
Okay. Is this any better? I'm moving.
Much better. Thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you. My question is this I've been trying to, I understand everything you were talking about today. I've been studying all this, trying to get the, in line with manifestation, okay? And I want to know, is there anything that's blocking me with my lower self? Because I read and I've read some of your books, and I just want to know what this manifestation, I know it's not a recipe, but what is it that's blocking me?
I'm going to tune into you and see what I can get if I can hear you. Well, what's interesting is you come through saying, well, I don't want anything that I'm not supposed to have. That's the oddest thing. That's what you came through saying that loud and clear. I don't want anything that I'm not supposed to have. I mean, I feel kind of like I'm at the church dinner with my empty plate, not sure what I'm allowed to have that's on that table. Do you understand this?
Yes.
So I'm like, I'm not choosing, I'm not going to fill the plate because I don't know what's mine.
Right.
Seems to be the problem about reception. I'm allowed, and I go, why? And you kind of say, well, I'm not allowed. I haven't been invited. I don't know if it's mine. What do I do about that? So you're asking, what do you do about that? Help yourself. The answer here is help yourself. Do you understand this?
Yes.
You're at the dinner, help yourself. You were born, it's here. Do you understand this?
Yes.
I'd say, you know, we're always ordering off of the menu of what we think we're allowed. You know, and they say if you go to a restaurant with $5 in your pocket, you don't order the steak. You know,
Right.
It wouldn't occur to you. Now you're allowed. That's the key to manifestation. The guys have talked about this. They say this to me about stuff too. So I'm not exempt from this. But they say, you know, you ask for something and we put it right in front of a door, and then you don't open the door to receive it.
Okay.
You know, which means you don't really know that you can have it. Do you understand this? Let me see. I'm sure you're not the only one with this. I'm going to see if there's a way to sort of shift this a little bit. Well, the new thought, and it's funny because this is coming at sort of a low self level, like I get to have what I want, but it's necessary right now. But I hear that that's actually necessary right now. I get to have what I want. I get to have what I want. That's okay. That's okay. I am allowed to receive what I want, to receive what I want. It is okay. It is okay. I am allowed. This is the key, the idea of allowance. You know, the guides have said a lot, you know, that nothing can be claimed until we first claim it as a possibility. You know,
Right.
It's not going to come into form. And while I get that it's a possibility, I get that you don't know that you're allowed to have it. Do you understand? Okay.
Yes.
So that's to deal with. All right. I hope that
Thank
helps.
you. All right.
Continue now. It's a new name, perhaps or not. I'm going to say good evening to Tom. Hello.
Can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you fine. Thank you.
My question is about the use of the word world in the title of this seminar. I'm guessing that it means our desires that are common with our true self. And I'm looking for if that's correct, and also can you mention some examples of what the world means in that context?
I didn't come up with a title at all, so I have no idea what they mean. So I'm going to go into this. The world is all you see. They're saying the world is all that you see, and including that which you can't see yet, and including that which you can see yet, claiming everything if you wish, claiming everything if you wish, in tandem with the divine self, in tandem with the divine self. You understand, friend? You understand, friend, that there can be nothing that exists, that there can be nothing that exists outside of the divine, outside of the divine, or the octave of the divine, or the octave of the divine. That is always an expression. That is always an expression. So we use the word world. So we use the word world, I mean that which may be made manifest, to mean that which may be made manifest at whatever level of expression, at whatever level of expression it may exist in, it may exist. And if you understood the piano metaphor, there are so many scales on a keyboard. There are so many scales on a keyboard. They are visible to you. They are visible to you. You know where the notes are by your hands. You know where the notes are by your hands, but those notes extend well beyond the keyboard, well beyond the keyboard, and may be played in higher, lower octaves, and may be played in higher or lower octaves. So the world exists beyond what you see. So the world exists beyond what you see in this form, in this material world, in this material world, but everything that may be known. But everything that may be known, and we underline the word known, we underline the word known to mean realized, to mean realized, may be claimed, may be claimed. So claiming the world. So claiming the world is only done by the true self, who knows who she is, who knows who she is. This is not a small self's primer. This is not a small self's primer on getting what she thinks she wants, on getting what she thinks she wants, period, period. And they're saying period, period. Okay? So I hope that made some sense. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'm going to continue now. It's another new name. We'll say hello now to, if she shows up on the screen again. Nope. Try it again. Okay, that's not going to work for some reason. I'm trying somebody else. I'm going to say good evening now to Millie. Hello.
Oh, hello, Paul. I'm in from Melbourne, Australia.
Oh, welcome. Welcome.
Yeah. I was given the gift of your books a few months ago, and I'm, yes, I've just come home with the teachings. So thank you so much. I do similar work to you and work all over the world as well, but I'm only half booked, and I don't know what's happening with the clients. They're right at the end of my fingertips, and I have all this skill and I can't seem to get them to come in so easily. There's something blocking me, and I'm not sure what I can do or not do to assist that. I'm sort of questioning, am I on my right path? I've been doing this so long.
All right.
There's something missing for me.
Let me step into you and see what I can get. I'll probably see if I can get this from you first, because you may be able to tell me. There's a part of you, truthfully, and this is just a part of you, that is actually not wanting this so much anymore. I mean, you came through saying, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. But
I think I'm afraid.
There is the idea that you can still be realized in this work without it being the way that it's been. And in your case, I actually think some of this is about moving beyond clients, truthfully, into, I don't know whether this means groups, but I'm not seeing you right now working with individuals. I'm just not seeing it. I'm going to ask what you need very quickly. You're telling me that you need to say, I don't need to do this anymore, and then see what comes, because it will come. And frankly, I think it's going to land right in your lap. I don't think this is about you having to go looking for anything. I think the moment you say, okay, what else? Something else may become present. This is always going to be part of it. What you're doing now will always be part of your work, but how it expresses may be different. Okay? I'm going to say thank you. I hope that was helpful. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll continue. Let's see if we can stay with questions on the teaching. I'm going to say good evening now to Kathy. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. Thank you. My question revolves around a situation. I'm a teacher, and I was asked to give a orientation to several students and parents that ended up being well over 500 plus people. And I'm normally someone who has tendency to be very self-conscious and nervous, and especially in public speaking, because it's not my forte.
Yep.
But right before it happened, I just kind of looked out over the audience, and I used one of the claims from the guides, and basically I said, word I am word, and went through all of that. And then I said, I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. And then I just, I took that claim, and I guess my question is that when I did that, did I invoke my true self to come in? Because I was able to do this without a single butterfly. I was just very conversational.
Yeah.
And it was very surreal. And I just didn't understand how that happened.
What they're saying is you said yes to the part of yourself that's capable. You understand, but it's not afraid. That's not afraid. The true self is not afraid. The true self is not afraid. Do you understand this? Why would she be? Why would she be? She knows who she is. She knows who she is, so she knows who others are as well. In fact, you bless them all. And in fact, you bless them all by your presence, because you are vibrating in a higher octave, because you are vibrating in a higher octave and supporting them and doing the same, and supporting them and doing the same through their witness of you, through their witness of you. So you gave a gift. So you gave everybody a gift, and you also learned a lesson, and you also learned a lesson. You have the right to be who you are. You have the right to be who you are without what you have thought, without what you have thought you were. You were inhibiting you. Okay, so that's great. Congratulations. Okay. Continuing now. Let's say hello to Lisa. How are you?
Hi, Paul.
Hello.
You can hear me? Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Okay, so when the guide said the form you have chosen to be here in, I just got this like flash of a memory, and I'm just really curious about this. So when I was really young, like two years old, all the way up to 10, I remember always feeling really scared of being here. So nothing made me feel safe, not even my parents. So I remember being in a grocery cart, small enough to fit my legs through that front seating part, and started to panic because I looked at my mom and said, she wasn't my real mom. And I even said to her, I want my other mom. And then, of course, she was like, what are you talking about? So then, for many, many years, I always felt like I wasn't comfortable where I was. I didn't want to be here, but I didn't know where else I could go. So my question, because I always felt abandoned, and I was the youngest of 6, so I had lots of company. My question is, could what I have felt back then been my true self, not being quite ready to be here at that time? Is that actually possible? No.
That wasn't it. I don't get that was it. You chose to be. You chose to be. You came right at the right time. You came right at the right time. Everybody does. Everybody does. They show up for the life they've chosen. They show up for the life they have chosen. If they choose to leave, they leave. If they choose to leave, they leave. You remembered who you were. You remembered who you were without your mother. Without your mother. It's not that she was not your mother. It's not that she was not your mother. She was not where you took in that moment. She was not the mother you took in that moment. You've had many mothers. You've had many mothers. Been many fathers. Been many fathers, been many children, been many children. You identified for a moment. You identified for a moment outside of a frame that was inherited by you, that was inherited by you. It was very frightening, and it was very frightening, the sense of displacement. The sense of displacement is a larger issue, I don't belong in this life. I don't belong in this life or in this family or in this family, but that is not necessarily so. But that is not necessarily so. It's an echo of knowing. It's an echo of knowing that who and what you are, that who and what you are exists beyond the frames you're living in, exists beyond the frames you've been living in. Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Period. That's what I'm hearing. Okay.
Yeah, totally. Because then after I found this teaching, I felt so at home and so safe. So yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Continuing now. All right. Good evening, Paula. How are you?
Hi, Paul. I'm really good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so my question is, in the last series, the guides talked about when you begin to be lifted, they used a metaphor of hitting all the buttons on the elevator. And I feel like in many ways that I've hit like every button in the elevator because I've got to move. And they also talked about your perception of things changes. So you reevaluate. Because not only did I have to move in the last 3 weeks, also things at work, like I'm feeling very undervalued at work. I'm seeing things that I wasn't aware of before. And I guess I'm asking, how do I communicate more so with my divine self, so I know where she's leading me. And I can say, like, for you, it's forgive me, but it's easy for you because the guides can say it's not wise. But if I'm not getting any guidance, I'm feeling kind of. Well,
listen, I mean, I'll speak to that only because nobody else knows what you're talking about. When I, you know, the only advice that I get or support that I get on a daily basis is I get support on, if I say, is this a good time to cross the street? They might say not wise. But primarily what I get help with is not making choices based in fear. And other than that, I'm not in any different boat than any of you are. So let me just see what they want to say to you around this. They're saying the young lady thinks she's supposed to know everything before she knows it. And that's been a problem for some time. And that has been her problem for some time. Yes, it is an issue of control, yes, but as you realize you lack the control that you think you should have, that you lack the control that you think that you should have, you can begin to dance. You can begin to dance. The music is changing to the music that is changing the expectation that things will happen as you think you should, that things will happen as you think they should. And this is for all of you, and this is for all of you on the timetables you have planned. On the timetables you have planned must be released now, must be released now. Look at your world. Look at your world. Nothing is happening according to plan. Nothing is happening according to plan, or as anybody thinks should, or as anybody thinks it should, but it's happening anyway. But it is happening anyway once you realize who and what you are. Once you realize who and what you are, you will know more. You will know more. Realization means know. Realization means know, but you do not know. But you do not know before you can or are able to, or are able to. If you want a system for listening to yourself, if you want a system for listening to yourself, you may inherit one. You may inherit one. Learn to listen to the body. Learn to listen to the body. Learn to listen when you're saying should to yourself. Learn to listen to when you are saying should to yourself and acting in historical obligation. And acting in historical obligation. I should want the nicer home. I should want the nicer home because who wouldn't want it? Because who wouldn't want it? I should want the job that pays more money. I should want the job that pays more money. Only a fool would say no. Only a fool would say no. There are plenty of people in jobs they hate. There are plenty of people in jobs they hate, making lots of money when they could be much happier doing something else, when they could be much happier doing something else. Learning how to listen to the true self simply means stilling the mind, simply means stilling the mind and not listening to the voices of history, telling you what you should do, telling you what you should do, period. And they're saying period. Okay, so thank you, Paula.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to continue now, okay? We have time for another. Okay. All right, I'm going to say good evening now to Robert. Can you hear me?
Hi, Paul. Yes, I can.
Hello.
Hi. My question tonight was regarding these claims of manifestation. I'm trying to gain understanding. When we make these claims, how do they work with our subconscious patterning?
That's a good question. They bypass it. They bypass it because the subconscious patterning, while in operation doesn't exist at the level, doesn't exist at the same level as the true self, Now your reliance upon history, or the assumption of who and what you are, or the assumption of who and what you think you are can claim you in the old ways, and activate any pattern you've had, and activate any pattern that you've had. But you must understand, friend, that these subconscious, that the subconscious is not the divine self, in operation, the true self, and the true self does not have any trauma that he is obligated to, the divine self as you. The divine self as you will support you in releasing patterns, that you would sabotage yourselves with, as you become willing to release them, But in the highest level, or octave that we operate in, that our highest level or octave that we operate in, they don't exist. They don't exist. Understand this as well. Understand this as well. When you're operating in fear, when you are operating in fear, you are in tandem with fear. You are in tandem with fear, and the true self does not operate in fear, and the true self does not operate in fear. Paul is asking, is there a system to work with release from the subconscious? Is there a system to work with the release from the subconscious? We actually don't use that word. We actually don't use that word in our teaching, because the psychology of it, in some ways is a manifestation of trying to figure things out, and that is not this teaching, and that is not this teaching. So we would call what you are calling the subconscious. So we would call what you would call a subconscious a way of thinking or agreeing that is implicit to your fear, When you release the fear, the manifestations of fear will be released as well. The manifestations of fear will be released as well. Period. Okay, that's what I hear.
Thank you.
So let me see. Yes, please. So I'm going to go back to the guides just for a minute, and then we'll close out tonight. They're saying we would like to attune the room. So this is the first session. So sometimes they do this. So the word, please. And they're saying the word, please. So they're going to do the attunement to the word. The word, if you're new to this, is they call it the energy of the creator in action. So if you would just repeat after me. I am word through my body. Word, I am word. I am word through my vibration. Word, I am word. I am word through my knowing of myself. As word. Word, I am word. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. I am word through all that I see before me. Word, I am word. I am word through each one present. Word, I am word. I am word through all that I know and will know and will claim in my agreement to be as I truly am, to be as I truly am. I am word through this intention. Word, I am word. They're saying thank you each and good night. I'll say thank you each and good night. Thank you for coming. Thank you for Noah Parabo and Dustin Bamberg for helping this to happen every week. And I'm going to give you over to Dustin now. He's got a few announcements. Good night, everybody. I hope to see you next week.